Hello guys, you're watching VM24.com channel, and today we will be taking apart Samsung Galaxy S25. First we need to remove the SIM card tray. For this we use a SIM eject tool, insert it into the hole and push the tray out. If the tray doesn't come out easily, we can use tweezers to help. Next we need to heat the surface of the back cover to approximately 70 degrees Celsius or 160 degrees Fahrenheit. We use a heating mat for this, but you can also use a hairdryer. And after about 10 minutes, we move on to removing the back cover. For this we use a thin plastic film inserted into the gap between the back cover and the mid frame and carefully run it along the edge, cutting through the adhesive layer. On this model, the back cover is slightly recessed, so inserting anything into the gap can be quite difficult. Once we manage to create a small gap, we can insert a plastic tool to prevent the cover from sticking back again and carefully continue separating the back cover. At some point, by gently rocking it, we can try to detach the cover and peel off the remaining adhesive in the areas where it is still holding. So we remove the back cover. There are no components attached to the back cover. Next we need to cover the camera lenses. For this we use a special protective film. Please note that the film should be applied not directly onto the lenses, but onto the rim around them. And after covering the lenses, we move on to removing the screws in the top section. For this we use a 1.5mm Phillips screwdriver or Phillips #30. If the screws are not magnetic enough or are difficult to remove, we can use a magnetizer or tweezers. Then, using a non-metal tool, we disconnect the wireless charging and NFC connector and fold the wireless charging coil aside. We also disconnect the battery connector using a non-metal tool. We place the wireless charging coil back and move on to the lower section. In the lower section, we also need to remove the screws using the same 1.5mm Phillips screwdriver. It is better to keep these screws separate from the previous ones. Now we can set the wireless charging NFC assembly aside. Next we need to remove the speaker module. An arrow indicates the direction where we can carefully pry it up. The cover comes off easily. After that we need to disconnect the interconnect flex cables. Please note that we should not use the printed circuit boards as leverage points to avoid damaging any chips on the boards. So we remove the interconnect flex cables. By the way, arrows on the flex cables indicate the direction toward the motherboard. Then we need to remove two screws that secure the subboard. They are tightened quite firmly, so be careful in this step. And now we can remove the subboard. The subboard is slightly recessed, so carefully pry it up from the edge, lift it and remove it. The subboard contains the charging port, microphone, SIM card connector and other components. And now for our traditional quick test of the microphone hole. The microphone opening is located in the display frame and has an L-shaped channel. On the opposite side there is a protective membrane. The microphone itself is located on the reverse side of the subboard. If you insert anything into the microphone hole, you won't be able to damage the microphone this way. Now we move on to the motherboard. We need to remove a few more screws that hold the cover with the speaker. Carefully unscrew them. It is also better to keep these screws separate, since they may not fit well into other holes during reassembly. And now we need to remove the cover. Carefully pry it up and lift it. Please note that there is a flex cable coming from the cover, more precisely from a small antenna board, and it connects to the motherboard. So we need to disconnect that connector. We disconnect the connector and remove the cover with the speaker and antenna board. After that, disconnect the front camera connector. Then we remove two screws that secure the rear cameras. Unscrew them and set them aside. And now we can remove the motherboard. Carefully lift it out and flip it over. Then we can disconnect the cameras. Carefully pry up the connectors and remove the cameras. Then set them aside. Finally, we move on to removing the battery. On newer Samsung models, this is quite simple. There are 4 transparent pull tabs that need to be folded outward. Then carefully lift the battery and it will come out easily. Okay, that completes our disassembly. Thank you for watching and see you in our new videos, either on our Telegram channel or on our website.